Today we're going to continue on with the Cold War, but we're going to look at the space race. The USA and USSR engaged in a competition to see who had the best technology in space. This included who could put the first manned spacecraft into orbit and who would be the first to walk on the moon. It was important because it showed the world which country had the best science, technology, and economic system. So the race begins. After World War II, USA and USSR recruited the top rocket scientists from Germany to help with research. In the beginning, the USSR has major wins. October 4th, 1957, the first satellite was sent into orbit called Sputnik. It took the United States 4 months later to release their satellite. Then April 12, 1961, had the first man in orbit around the Earth. It took us a year later to put the first man in orbit. Then finally, we have a win. JFK, our president at the time, felt that it was embarrassing that we kept coming behind the Soviet Union, so he is going to create a special department to basically work on putting the first man on the moon. That was his goal as president. We're going to put the first man on the moon, and we're going to beat the Russians in that area. So finally, it was a win. The first man on the moon is Neil Armstrong. Apollo 2 spacecraft was launched into space on July 16, 1969. The crew was Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. When Neil Armstrong stepped off the spacecraft and put his first foot on the moon, he said, "That's one small step for man, one great leap for mankind." This is a famous quote. The end of the space race is finally going to come in July of 1975. After we put the first man on the moon, it was really nothing else that the Russians could do to try to basically show that they were better than us with space, because we actually put a person on the moon. They just put a manned satellite orbit around the Earth and a satellite into space, but we actually landed the first man on the moon. So eventually it is going to end in July of 1975. The first US-Soviet joint mission occurred with the Apollo and Soyuz project. So we start doing space projects together, and that's what makes it end in 1975. The second competition that the Soviet Union and the United States is going to be part of is the arms race. USS versus USSR again, the nuclear weapons. The US was the first to develop the nuclear weapons, hence the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Those are atomic bombs. Nuclear weapons are extremely powerful weapons that can destroy an entire city, and that should be kill tens of thousands of people. So the race is going to begin after this. After the Soviet Union see that we dropped the atomic bomb in Japan on 2 cities, it's like, okay, we have to get the same weapon. So in August 1949, the USSR is going to test its first atomic bomb. So now we have the atomic bomb and they have the atomic bomb. So the United States is like, hey, we have to step it up. So in 1952, the USA detonated the first hydrogen bomb. This bomb is 1,000 times stronger than the atomic bomb. Of course, the USSR is going to respond and create their own hydrogen bomb too. So now the race is continuing. We have the development of the ICBMs, where both countries worked on developing missiles that could be launched from long range, up to 3,500 miles, in case they need to bomb each other. Because of this, both countries started to build up their defense. Both sides built new and more powerful weapons. Militaries began to work on large radar arrays to tell if a missile has been launched. They built defense missiles to basically shoot those missiles down.
Students, please excuse this interruption. Teachers, an email was just sent to you from Ms. Reed. Please make sure you read it. Again, an email from Ms. Reed has been sent to you. Please make sure you read it. It says urgent. Please make sure that you read it. If you have any questions, please contact Ms. Reed or Ms. Rothstein. Thank you.
Sorry about that. People built bomb shelters and underground bunkers because they feared a nuclear attack. So when people went shopping for new homes, the new homes would sometimes have basements or bomb shelters that will attract buyers to buy that home. So they started putting those features in there. For high-ranking government officials, they built underground bunkers for them that were top secret to basically protect them if we had a nuclear attack. MAD, mutual assured destruction. Even an attempt to launch a missile could lead to an attack from the other country. So let's say the United States tried to launch a nuclear missile and it didn't go through or it failed. The Soviets would now have a right to launch theirs just because we tried, and vice versa. Besides the USA and the USSR, other countries involved that also got the hydrogen and atomic bombs were Great Britain, France, and China. Keep in mind, China is a communist nation at this time, and still is. Finally, as the years keep going on, this stuff is very expensive. They keep building up these different weapons. So it became too expensive for both countries. They agreed to slow down the arms race. And this is where you're going to have SALT 1 and SALT 2, which is strategic arms limitation talks, where they are meeting to say, hey, if you get rid of these number of missiles, we'll get rid of this number of missiles. So they go back and forth to reduce the amount of missiles that both countries have. The arms race is officially going to end in 1991 with the fall of the USSR. And we'll talk more about the fall of the USSR. So the USSR breaks up and the Soviet Union becomes Russia, which Russia is no longer a communist nation. And we have better relationships with Russia today in 2014 than we did during the Cold War era. And this is it of the Cold War era, the last video for it. Study for your test. That's it.